is happening. It could not. It could turn out to be something else. But hey, who knows? We are all hoping for the good things to happen all the time. So in that same situation, marriage has always been within that kind of, poor people marry poor people, rich people marry rich people. Once in a while, you see rich man be interested in some poor person because maybe she's extra beautiful or he's very, very nice or handsome person. If that isn't the case, you see yourself in that situation. In some time, I read the books, one of the books, Outliers, and I was reading story of these Jamaicans who at some point saw it necessary to sort of begin to pale their skin or sort of get more interested in the light skin because of the situation they were in, and they would die or do anything to get married or get involved with the white person just to lift their image in life, in society, to give them some status in society. And if they're able to have a child who is a light skin, it would be great. Even up to now, you can see that most of them, with all their anger, is all to do with leveling up with the white people. They have that more intuition, that kind of thoughts in them more than even the others who are coming from outside. The Jamaicans are more in tune to that kind of, I don't know, they are very obsessed with that kind of idea of wanting to level up, and they do anything. It's become part of that because they have a strong background. They have a direct contact of frustration coming from the colonial powers when they were going through the slave trade. They have this direct impact more than those some of us who are far off. Our impact is not as strong because we had our own form of struggle to get our independence. So also have they also fight for their freedom within the same scope. So they cannot even trace themselves back. So theirs is a bit sometimes very terrible, as well as ours is also terrible. But those are the things they went through, and it gave them the sense of culture that they have. It gave them the sort of mindset that they have. Because you can imagine that a man has long lost his tongue, his language, as a result of that. They lost their language. They don't even know what language that they belong to. All they know is they come from Africa. That's all they know, as far as they know. They see the castles where they went through, what their ancestors went through, and it's all built nicely there to see. You go to a place like Ghana, Ghana, you see a lot of that. I know of the ones in Ghana, which is castles made, preserved, well prepared, nice, with all the things. They've preserved it, changed everything for you to see what was happening, the underground, where the slaves were put, and you go through there, and you can be touched. You can sense when you get there. You have a feeling of you really see a clear picture of what happened, and you can imagine it, and it puts you in a sort of awareness state, and it's very inspirational and very, very touching, very touchy moments for people who probably go to see it, And there are other countries like Sierra Leone and Liberia and Nigeria and all that. They all have that because it was all within the seaport. Those places are West Africa, they were at the sea, and they build those castles when the ship comes in to pick the people up and all that. So you have those things there, So it's those are moments which pull people's heart, draw people to some state of remembering things and all that. They are very moments that you cannot just throw off. So you can imagine people of that going through all that, the ancestors going through that, and when they arrived in the place, their language become useless. They get separated, and they barely have some know each other. They probably have been brought from different tribes, and they've been sent to different places. They can't even they have nobody to speak the language with, the language that they know, that they used to speak. So whatever gives us the language we speak, if you don't lose it personally, the slave master will not lose it. But the children, even today, if you have a child here in the UK or you have a child in Africa and you are not an African person or you are not a British person, that children grow up to learn the indigenous language, the real language of the land, of the people of the land, because he can easily flow along with that. So naturally, they still know what they know about the language, but they could not encourage their own children, because the slave master probably would not even allow them. Because when they buy you, according to the book what we read about slavery, when he buys you, he bought you with money. You are his property, your children are his property. Today, even if you travel to these countries, the laws of this land work along the same line. The children of this country get taken care of by the state. The state employ those children. They are yours. They take them to school, everything. So the children knows the idea that the state takes care of them. The state pays them, gives them money to support them in food and all that. So they really don't have that sense of seeing the respect necessarily regarding the parent being the ultimate caretaker. They learned quickly to know that it is the state that takes care of it. Even if he moves out of his home, he knows the state has made provision to take care of him or her. So what is father got to do in anything except a few who fully take responsibility for their own child because they have the funds to do it. But most of the people get adopted by the state, taking care of them fully in every way, and the children are quite different. They have different, and they owe it to the nation. They do everything to serve the nation. They love the country. Their love goes for their country, not necessarily their parents. they don't care about their parents very much. Some of them can even put their parents in trouble and all that, because the parents probably would want to straighten him or chasten him or her a little bit, and it becomes a problem. You see the stubbornness in young people of these nations and all that. Now, it's something similar to that. The slave child becomes the master's child, and eventually the children even don't know the language of their own father, because the barrier between the child and the parent becomes wide. Even though those children will be growing and learning those languages, or even sometimes they won't even have the chance to learn it, they'll be put to work straight ahead, and they'll be working and helping the master. And they barely play with but they will do the things that the slave master wants them to do. So eventually, you won't go to Jamaica and see them speaking a single tribe language from Africa that exists in Africa today. So they cannot link themselves to anybody there. They can only do that by color, that they are black people, and we always embrace each other as blacks. But since they grew up and they were brought up in that way, they also have some serious, information has made some of them think of the black Africans as if the blacks were at fault, that it was our fault also. The blacks, like me, anybody those blacks there at that time, ancestors at that time, it was their fault to make them end up where they ended up, because there was war between them. They were selling each other to get money among the chiefs in Africa, and they're giving out their own bloodly people. When we go to war, you win somebody prisoner of war, you give him to sell him out to people. They had no idea what they were doing, or I don't know. Some people too get caught. You go to farm or somewhere, because people hunting for human being, and they hunt for people and they catch you and they take you. And another way they can catch you also is like when there's a tribal war between another group, they fight, and the slaves or the prisoners of war the other get, he gives them to the white people, and the white man or the visitors are there will take you away. So if you read the story, I look at it from my view, what I read, what I've been told, and I realize that's what's going on. Now, these are the times of what was happening at that time. But every story has moved, just as the book Bible and the Quran has moved on. And the stories get a bit touchy, as a little bit has been added and transformed to make it sound really true, like a story. Because nobody was really writing why it was happening. People it was after things happened, the people who have heard the stories write something down. So it's always not accurate, but it gives you an idea of what was happening. So the black people, the white, the Jamaicans, or whatever they are right now, and all those people around those places, Seychelles, whichever place they are, they might have that attachment of blackness in them, and after most of them, and competitive information from Africa and all that to suppress the misinformation they have got among their fellow black people. Most of them still hold on to certain things, but if any of them goes through and search through really back, they realize that you can't blame the Africans or blame any. It's like, why should they even come in to buy another human being? Or why should that slave trade thing should be encouraged? And I said,